Welcome back to episode 3 of The Core, where we're planting seeds to your financial success. My name is Colten Hibbs, and your host and Education Credit Union's Financial Health Coordinator, and I'm joined today with Laura Ray. Laura, please tell us your role here at the Credit Union.
I am the Assistant Branch Manager at our Mart branch in Canyon.
All right. And so how long have you been with ECU?
I have been with ECU for 7 years.
And to anyone who might not know, what is our Buff Smart branch?
So our Buff Smart branch, we have 3 interns that are students at WT. And
Go Buffs.
Go Buffs. And they work part-time at our branch. They are tellers. They can make debit cards. They
get that financial institution experience.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And they are fantastic. There are some great kids that we have working there.
So what is the best part of your job, speaking of?
Oh, goodness. Just to be able to mentor them and watch them grow. It's very rewarding. I hope, that maybe I can have a small impact on their life, as they're getting started. And it's just been so much fun for me to watch them learn and grow and see them come out of their shells and progress a little bit. So
no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And get to know their lives. And
oh, yeah.
And what's your favorite part about working at Education Credit? You've been here 7 years. So what is your favorite part about working at Education Credit Union?
Just the fact that I have met so many neat people, and you build up relationships with them, and they become your friends, and you learn about their families. And I've had people follow me, different branches that I've been to throughout the credit union. I've had people that have just stayed with me all these years. And so you build those relationships, and I'm honored that they trust me to help them with their, financial needs. So to me, that is my favorite part of working at ECU.
And that's one of the reasons I would say we have you here today to talk about retirement, which is people trust you. You are in any room, in any conversation, when it comes to somebody who can build relationships or maintain those, your name is one of the first to come up. And it's because you have this warmth, this wonderful rapport with your members. So when it comes to talking about retirement and planning for those future events and that long-term success, somebody who builds relationships, expert. And plus, you're one of our certified financial counselors as well. And so I wanted to ask you, what do you think is the best definition of retirement?
I think the best definition of retirement is to set aside enough money that when you leave the workforce, you can, enjoy life, be able to travel and do the things that you want to do and not have to worry.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, that's generally, so it's always fun to ask, in a room full, in an audience, especially a room full of students, what's retirement? And you get these wild and exciting answers, usually really where you don't work anymore. But yeah, one of my favorites to use is basically what you just said, where you have enough money saved up to where you can take care of basically all of your wants and your needs. You don't have to go to work anywhere. And that's the job. And then I always follow up with, does it take time to save up that much money to take care of all of your wants and needs without having to go to work anywhere? And they go, yeah. And I go, well, and retired people are usually of a certain age, are they not? And they go, so if you were to map out the ideal retirement plan for a person, what would that look like?
I would tell people to start saving early.
Now, immediately, yesterday, if you can.
My kids are 25 and 29, and I stress to them all the time, you need to start saving now. You always think you have time, but it sneaks up on you.
Yes.
So, and it's not, you're not going to do it overnight. It's going to be a little at a time along the way.
Absolutely. And time is one of those things that's on your side, that interest that, that it needs to be there.
Yeah. There's been times in my life, that we didn't really have the extra money to set aside, but, just do it.
Exactly. You make it work.
Just do it.
What are some of the things you notice that people, even conscious, I want to begin preparing for retirement, but what are things that you notice people overlooking when they begin thinking about their retirement years?
I think they don't start early enough, as we said. You always think you're going to be able to do it later. Um, and I think that people don't plan on inflation, because the dollar doesn't stretch as far as it used to.
Exactly.
So they don't plan on inflation.
So then people might be moved to sort of think they're ready to retire earlier than they are or with less money, and then realize that money that they have that would have went far when they thought about retiring 10, 15 years ago is not going to go as far now.
Exactly.
Oh, another thing I think people overlook too is health concerns. We always, people tend to think that being able-bodied is a sort of permanent thing, and it is woefully temporary. What are those? I encourage people whenever I'm talking to them about retirement is to look at their older relatives or think back to those relatives when they were in their retirement years, if they had contact with them, and just what health problems did they have? Are those health problems, do those run in your family? Are those things you should be preparing for financially? Things like that. Did you have did everybody, go to a home eventually? Is that sort of the trajectory for your family? And what are the costs? What are the care options here locally? That sort of stuff.
Right.
And when you think about that, it's kind of like, oh, it's heavy at the beginning. But even then, even if they're, the way the world's going, why bother planning to retire? What's your answer to that? Like, oh, well, if I don't know all of that stuff, or what is your answer?
Well, my answer would be, I don't want to work for the rest of my life.
Right.
So I want to, I want to be able to, while I am still healthy enough to go and do things, I want to be able to do that and not have to, I don't want to have to work till I'm, old and gray.
Exactly.
So.
Yes. No. And it's one of those, I always say it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Absolutely.
And we tend to think of retirement options as being far future and when we're old and gray. But there's a wide variety of things that you can use, things like individual retirement accounts or IRAs. There's a wide variety of things you can use those for well before your retirement age. Like
Absolutely.
You can withdraw from your IRA for for a down payment on your first home. Those sorts of the emergency expenses, sudden medical costs. Those are all reasons well before retirement that you could have this money set aside and still working for you, still growing. And then if you need it, which I would definitely say talk to your financial counselor before you go dipping into your retirement funds. But it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So why do I need to save a retirement? I get this, especially in classrooms, because the government's going to send you a check every month. I'm going to get money. So I'm going to get Social Security to pay my bills. So why do I need to save? What would your response? I know what my response is, but what is
it? Social Security was, I don't think, ever designed to fully
support a person
in their retirement years. It's a supplemental income. So I've seen so many people that live on a fixed income and all they do have is Social Security and they struggle. So, and I don't know that there's any guarantee that that's going to be available to us when we do get ready. It
always seems to be up for debate every few years.
Yes, always. So, I don't want to rely on that. If I get that supplemental income in my retirement, then fantastic. But I don't want to rely on it.
Exactly. And again, with the cost of inflation, your income is fixed. Even if you are relying on Social Security, you're getting X amount of dollars for the foreseeable future as prices may continue to rise.
Yes.
And it's usually, again, not enough to cover traditional monthly expenses, even in our region.
Well, and it's just, it's not good to have all of your eggs in one basket. So.
Right? A single point of failure, as we like to say here at the credit union. We don't want anything to rely on a single point of failure.
Yes.
So you mentioned before, people don't plan early enough. So when should somebody start planning for retirement?
I would say as soon as you enter the workforce.
Yes.
Start.
You get that first job. You're 16. You want to retire?
Absolutely. Most employers have a 401k. If they have a 401k, start putting money into that because usually they will put money in there for you, they'll contribute. So that's free money is the way I look at it.
There you go. Absolutely.
So, start as soon as you enter the workforce and start saving. And, if they don't have a 401k, look at other options. I would say, find you a financial advisor. The credit union works closly with C.S. Wilson.
Yes.
So
love Kathy and Sally Marcy.
Yes, absolutely. Those ladies are fantastic. So, find a financial advisor that can help you. And like here at the credit union, we have
our counselors who can at least connect you with advisors. Yeah,
absolutely. We've got traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs. Talk to a tax advisor, see what option is going to work best for you.
Absolutely.
But there are other ways if your employer doesn't offer a 401k to start saving.
Absolutely.
CDs, those are a safe way to.
Exactly. And what a great thing about CDs too, is if you're a person who tends to know where the transfer button is in our wonderful and easy to use app, if your person knows where the transfer button is, putting things in a CD where you can't sort of touch it, but it's in a CD, it's there for 6 months or it's there for however long you need it to be there.
Right.
So it's a good proving ground. Like, I can save up this much money and not touch it for 6 months. And that allows you to sort of, again, begin dipping your toes in the water of long-term and savings like IRAs. Because people don't realize that even if you're 16, you're working part-time, you're 17, you're working part-time at, somewhere in town. And since you're part-time, you're not getting those 401k benefits. You can still go to your credit union or your financial institution of choice and open up an IRA for a small introductory amount and then have that just, again, slowly working for you and get into that habit of saving.
Absolutely.
Now, there are people who I have some savings, and we talked about it before, I have some savings. I think I could be ready to retire, but it looks like if the prices keep going the way they are, that I'm going to run out of money. What should I do?
Oh, goodness. That's a good question.
Right. And I would say it's based on somebody's situation. Should I just keep working? I would say maybe begin finding a transitional career or a transitional part-time something to really, but I mean, again, what would you say?
If you do have to work, it could help with medical care insurance. If you're working, that could provide insurance for you. And, if I enjoy my job, I'm, not ready to retire anytime soon, but also looking at it, I'm not that far away either. But, I enjoy my job. So I really can't imagine retirement. And I don't have a set date that, I'm going to retire when I'm 65. If I'm able to and still enjoy what I'm doing, I'll keep working. So, it's hard.
And that brings me to my question. What do you hope your retirement looks like?
I hope that I'm able to travel some, go. I don't have any grandkids yet, but I'm hopeful one of these days I may have grandkids that, I can just go and do and enjoy and do a little bit of sightseeing. And
some spoiling. I've heard grandparents really like to spoil them.
Absolutely. So, we've maybe planned some trips and just kind of.
No, that's, again, enjoy the fruits of your labor, essentially.
Absolutely.
And that's, I think the same thing for myself. It's hard to put a pin in exactly what you want to do. If you don't know what you want to do because, now we're going to have 40 hours a week free at some point. And so, pursuing artistic endeavors and really sort of planning your own life. Because what I've noticed in some of our members, council members on retirement planning is sometimes, which brings me to my next question, is what are some things to mentally and emotionally prepare for with retirement? Some people are not ready really to stop working. And so what are some other things that you might notice that people might also need to think about in terms of preparation for retirement?
I think it is, a lot of people do struggle emotionally with retirement. I think they don't really want to face the fact that,
Yes. Well, our whole society is geared from the time that we're young. Like, you're getting ready to go to work. You're gonna be smart and get good grades. You can get a good job. You're going to work hard, work, and then suddenly,
Absolutely,
40 hours a week, 40 plus if you're hardworking. And then now you have days
They're
to
not
fill.
ready to be put out to pasture. So.
Trust me, I can fill the pasture with something else to do. I promise.
But it's. I think I kind of look at it as when my kids, graduated and went off to college, and my husband and I were empty nesters. That was a hard time, and your whole life has been, raising kids and being a taxi driver and a cheerleader for whatever sport they were involved in. So you kind of have to rediscover yourself. And
I love that.
I think retirement is probably going to be kind of the same way, to kind of rediscover yourself, because you're not all of these things that you were while you were in the workforce. And that's kind of I know it's a big transition, but
it could be an exciting one if you look at it from that really, like, this is a time of personal growth. This is your next phase of whatever that looks like.
Absolutely.
All right, so someone listening says, fine, you've convinced me, this casual conversation about retirement, but my employer doesn't have a 401k option, or, I'm still in college, but I do kind of want to start saving for retirement. Where do I start?
Mm-hmm. I would say talk to a financial counselor, talk to a financial advisor. C.S. Wilson.
Yes.
If you're a member of the credit union, those ladies are fantastic, and they'll sit down with you. I believe your first visit is free if you're a member of the credit union.
They do wonderful things for us.
They absolutely do. Look at opening a CD. That's a low risk option. Yes. And right now, CD rates are higher than they've been in years.
Mm-hmm. And the deposit rates are low. So if you have a little bit set aside, you can go ahead and invest it and make it more.
Absolutely. Talk to your tax advisor. We have the traditional and the Roth IRAs that you can
open like any other savings account.
Absolutely. And start putting money in those. There are quite a few options that
just coming to
the credit union.
Exactly. Just coming to the credit union, there you don't have to talk or have to sign a lot of papers or have some heavy investment plan or strategy. We're here to help you start saving a little bit. And your financial institution of choice, any of them have the similar accounts, right?
Absolutely.
Laura, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. You've been so insightful, and thank you, of course, to our audience. Don't forget, you can catch us on the latest release every other Wednesday on Spotify or YouTube. And with that, we'll see you next time on The Core.